What's going on, everyone? Welcome to, I guess, what's probably going to be my last Mario Kart 8 Deluxe video before World drops. And as you can see, we are going old school. Waluigi Wiggler. You know, for reasons I'll get into a little bit later on in the video, I didn't really have enough time, or as much time as I would have liked, to do like a proper send-off video for 8 Deluxe. So this is kind of my last hurrah, as it were. We're going to just be doing some commentated races, but this is going to be a little bit different from my usual style of commentary where I focus more on the races. I kind of want to talk just about general thoughts. I want to just, it's almost like having background footage, but, you know, I'm playing in real time. So I want to start by just kind of thanking everybody for following me as much as you have, or as long as you have, and I am super excited for Mario Kart World, and I hope that you guys all are too. I do have a ton of content that I'm going to put out, and I will talk a little bit about that later on in the video, maybe the next race. But for now, I just want to say, you know, I do actually have a lot of content there planned. I know I said that for 8 Deluxe, and I didn't really get the opportunity to make all the videos that I wanted to for 8 Deluxe. Again, for reasons that I'll get into a little bit later on in the video. But, you know, I do appreciate the fact that you guys have been hanging around. And when I do make videos, especially the last couple Mario Kart World videos that I've made have gotten, you know, they've been pretty well received. And I've gotten a lot of, you know, really nice comments. And, you know, I just want to say that, I guess, up front, is that I appreciate you guys all being here. So just know that it does actually mean a lot to me. And that, you know, to kind of show my appreciation, I do plan on putting out a lot of world content for you. So before we talk about that, we're going to get into the next race, so catch you all there. Alright, so we got Peach Gardens for race 2. I should also point out, actually, that a big part of the reason why I'm making this video, in addition to just trying to create a proper send-off for the game, is that for World, I had to get a new capture card, actually, because the Switch 2 records in 4K, and I really wanted to put out as high quality footage as I can for when that drops. So, had to get a new capture card, and I'm kind of testing the waters here to see just, can I actually get something good going? You know, can I get a good recording? Can I get a good recording quality and just get the setup right? Because I'm actually using 2 instances of OBS to do the recording right now, which has the potential to be kind of wonky, so not really sure about that. Anyway, so I mentioned in the last race that, you know, I didn't really get the chance to do a proper kind of send-off video, and that I know I said, you know, oh, I have a lot of ideas for Mario Kart 8 content. And I want to point out that I'm not lying about that. I do actually have 2 scripts fully written out. I have a 30-minute conversation with Shortcat that I've recorded that was supposed to go into a video, and I just didn't have the time to get to it, especially once the news of Mario Kart World dropped. So part of the reason that happened is that, you know, I don't know, I've not made any attempt to hide this or anything, but I don't talk about it all the time. I am a dad, I have 2 kids, I work full time, so, you know, there's really only so many hours in the day that I have to play games, and, you know, because of that, you know, if you think about like basic training videos, for example, those are fairly quick. You know, I can learn the time trials in about an hour and a half to 2 hours for the basic strats, maybe spend another couple hours if I find a track is really enjoyable for me. And then, you know, when I would make a basic training video, it's like the script writing and the audio recording and all that stuff was fairly quick. I could get one of those done in about, you know, maybe 7 or 8 hours of total work from start to finish, including the time trial. And that, you know, when I have about 14 or 15 hours a week to play, you know, it's one of those things where I can get a basic training video done in a week, but everything that I wanted to make after basic training came out was very deep divey in nature. I had lots of really interesting ideas for content, like, you know, for one example, oh nice, we're getting totally destroyed here. But for one example, you know, I had a video that I was going to work on that was, the Shortcat conversation was a deep dive into kind of the design of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and some of the things that work and some of the things that don't work, and why I don't think it's necessarily a very well-designed competitive game, which I will actually get onto a little bit later because it's relevant to kind of the content discussions. But we're going to just keep things running here. But yeah, so one of the things with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is that I wasn't very strategic with how I approached content creation. I kind of would get an idea, I'd make a video, I'd record the footage, I'd make the video, and that's kind of that was it, right? And when you have a video like this, you know, big game design breakdown for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it requires you to collect a lot of footage, right? So like if I want to get a shot, for example, of like talking about when you're in 6th to 8th, you can get any item in the game, including single red shells. Like I want to find a specific clip of me getting a red shell in 8th place as like B-roll footage so that I can have that playing in the background while I'm talking about what's going on, right? And so the problem is, like, I just don't really record all that much unless I'm specifically trying to capture footage. And so I ran into a situation where, like, I'd want to make all these deep dive videos, but like each one of them, just capturing the footage took like a substantial amount of time. And so when you think about the amount of time it takes to record all the footage, and then not to mention like the script writing and editing, because for a deep dive video, I have to put in a lot more work to that stuff than I would for a typical basic training. It just means that each one of the videos I wanted to put together required a lot more time than kind of anything else on the channel. And one thing that you might ask is like, well, you know, why don't you just do competitive videos or, you know, just online races? I have done videos like that in the past. And, you know, one of the things about that is there are other channels that do that sort of thing for this game already. The most well-known, of course, being like Shortcat, and then and JP Givener as well. They both have a lot of videos where the mainstays on their channel are playing online or playing competitive races. And I like to make content that I don't think you're gonna find anywhere else, or I like to try and focus on that. And so, you know, I just don't want to be a clone of another channel. I want to make videos that are sort of unique to me. Now, for World, things are going to be a little bit different because, you know, we're all sort of in the same boat with World, and we're all going to be learning how to play online, and we're all going to be learning how to do competitive, and so I will actually be doing a lot more of those types of videos for Mario Kart World. But like, yeah, for 8 Deluxe, I just didn't have the time to do the videos that I wanted to make. And so the question, you know, that I want to answer is like, how can I make sure that I don't have the same problem for World? Because I do actually want to make a lot of deep dive videos in addition to some of the stuff that you might have already seen on the channel. So what I'm going to be doing there is I'm going to be a lot more strategic with how I approach content creation for Mario Kart World. And in particular, what I really want to focus on is recording footage just if I'm playing, just for the hell of it. Even if I don't necessarily think I'm going to be trying to make a video out of it, just having the footage there is going to take a lot of the sort of randomness out of getting the footage that I need, because I'll be recording everything that I have to talk about. And for World, I'm going to talk a little bit about the schedule that I plan on putting together for Mario Kart World. So I do actually have like a full list of videos that I'm going to be working on. And the start of that is going to be Let's Play style content. So you can think about that as being like, I'm going to be doing, going through all of the cups, all of the rallies. Each of those might be its own video. You know, the time trials might be their own video, etc., etc. I haven't exactly figured out how I want to break that down yet, but I will be putting like, I'm not going to be streaming, again, for reasons I'll get into later, but I will be doing kind of like all of my discoveries and all of my all of my races will be going on YouTube so that, you know, people can kind of see that, especially if they haven't gotten a chance to play the game themselves. The reason why I'm not streaming is that like I mentioned that I got the new capture card, right? And the new capture card, for some reason, like my old capture card was an HD60S, Elgato HD60S. And with that capture card, I could actually have an instance of OBS running, and I could also have the Elgato capture software capturing the gameplay as well. So what could happen is I could have a piece, like a video of me like playing the game, and then I could also have just the gameplay itself without anything else. No mic, no nothing, just in case I want that basic footage, right? And for some reason with the 4K capture card, like, I just can't do that. I can't have the capture utility running and also be streaming or running OBS. So what I have to basically do is decide if I want to stream, I can get decent quality stream footage, right? But I want to have gameplay that doesn't have my face on it, in case I need that footage for something else later. And so it's a bit unfortunate, but the decision that I had to make was basically that I would forego the live streams for the first chunk of time for me playing World, so that I could really get high quality footage, so that I could focus on getting a much more regular content schedule. Now, I do plan on streaming World at some point, and I will probably actually be streaming like my normal weekend nights. But like the point is just that like I'm not going to be going out of my way to do extra live streams for World. It'll be like whatever I would normally get for whatever you would normally see as far as live streams go for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is what you can expect to see for World. But yeah, I'm not going to be streaming on like Thursday or Friday when the game comes out, because again, the focus is on the content. So, and some of the stuff I plan on making, like, it's stuff that you've already kind of seen on the channel already. There shouldn't be any real big surprises there. I'll eventually get to basic training. It's not going to be something I do right away, because I want to I want to give time for the strategies to settle and that sort of thing. So I won't be doing basic training probably for like at least a month until after the game comes out, because I don't want my videos to immediately become obsolete, right? So what I will be doing is a lot of like gameplay analysis style videos, some deep dive content. I've already got a lot of ideas for content that's going to be like a lot more deep divey in nature, things that you've already kind of seen on the channel before. It's a lot of commentated races. I'm going to be doing a lot more YouTube shorts. So yeah, we've got a lot of really fun stuff planned. And I've been talking for a while, so I'll see you guys in the next race. All right, we are back. So yeah, I think one of the things that one of the things I really want to focus on is I want to focus on growing the channel in the next year. Since we have a new game, I really want to try and take this opportunity to create content that I've never really gotten into very much, for a variety of reasons. Like, I think one other reason why I never really got into making competitive videos is that I personally don't think this is a very well-designed game for like competitive play. I know that it's possible to get good at the game. I know there's people that are, that are just like better, right? I'm not saying that like I think the game sucks or anything like that, but like there are things that the game does well, and there's things that the game doesn't do well. And I think one of the things that the game doesn't do particularly well is the way that it handles its item system. And I've talked about this in other videos before, but for me personally, like I just never really found competitive play to be all that satisfying, because it's very hard to understand when you're improving and when you're not improving. What I mean by that is that I've seen like at all levels of gameplay. I've seen Silver League players stream, I've seen Gold League players stream, I've seen Platinum and Sapphire and all this stuff. I've seen all kinds of levels of gameplay, and the one thing that I always see is like people being upset that they feel like they never know what they did wrong. When a race goes poorly, or when a match goes poorly, the common thread that you'll see is someone being like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. I got booed before the gap on Mushroom Gorge, and I just like died because of things that were entirely out of my control. And I know that like on average, it all sort of comes out in the wash, and people that are just better at the game and better at manipulating the item system are going to sort of come out on top in general. But I think that like from event to event, it can be very frustrating when things don't go well and you don't really understand why. So that's kind of the reason why I've never really enjoyed competitive play all that much, and we'll kind of see how it goes in World. I have like one of my big problems with this game is that driving skill just like isn't important enough. Like I said, you can be like really, really good at driving and be like a world record contender, and it's still only going to put you a few seconds ahead of somebody else who's not that good at the game. And so it's like that is a single red shell between you and somebody else after spending 1,000 hours in the game. I've got 3,000 hours in the game. Most of that is spent on 200cc. I just did a race online the other day where I was playing DK Mountain, and like I know how to play the track. I just speed ran the whole DLC at AGDQ, and you know, I still got like 11th place because I just got completely screwed by the items. And again, it happens, right? And you have to sort of take that in stride. But for me, it was just a thing where like, it wasn't the most enjoyable way for me to play the game. And I just didn't feel like I didn't feel like it'd be appropriate for me to create content trying to get people into a mode that I don't particularly enjoy. But that being said, you know, I also, again, don't have a ton of time to play, and so I never really prioritized getting very good. That's one other thing I wanted to talk about, was that a big part of the reason that I wasn't able to get content out as quickly as possible for this game was because of AGDQ. And if you don't know, it's a speedrunning marathon event where essentially like a bunch of gamers get together to try and help raise money for a cancer research. And when the booster course pass finished releasing, I really wanted to try and get into this event because like I feel like I'm pretty decent at 200cc, and I wanted to try and showcase the game, you know, at one of these events because it gets a lot of viewership, right? And so I figured like it would be cool to be able to perform in front of all these people, and that ended up working out really well. But the fact that I was spending so much time, you know, time trialing and speedrunning meant that I just like I didn't have the time to create content, right? So, but now that that's kind of over, I don't think I plan on doing like Mario Kart World or trying to do Mario Kart World at like a speedrunning marathon. You know, I'd really rather just focus again on growing my YouTube channel. And so that kind of obligation isn't going to be it's not going to be something that gets in the way of videos anymore. So again, I just really want to make it clear that I am focused on creating content. I do have a lot of ideas, not just like, so there's going to be a lot of, you know, like gameplay videos because that kind of content is relatively easy to put together. But I have a lot of deep dive videos. In fact, I've already got a couple ideas for, and almost a fully written script for a deep dive, believe it or not, for a game that hasn't even come out yet. And that is going to be hopefully coming out, you know, a couple weeks after the game releases. So that's my plan. We're going to see how well it actually works out. But yeah, oh shit. I just ran straight into that. But yeah, so just believe me when I say that I am focused on content, I guess is all I'm trying to say here. I want to talk a little bit about why I love this game so much, because it really is, you know, one of my favorite games of all time. And I know that it might be a bit of a surprise given how much time I spend kind of picking apart every single detail of every single track and spending so much time talking about all the things that I don't like about the game. But I'll talk about that in the next video, or in the next race. So I'll get into why I have this kind of commentary style that I have. So catch you guys all in just another minute. Alright, so this is probably the last bit of stream of consciousness that I'm going to do. I'm hoping that it comes across alright, because what I want to talk about is like the difference in style with how I'm going to approach Mario Kart World content compared to 8 Deluxe. So, you know, I never really got into content creation at all until I started playing this game. And my style, like the way that I approach talking about the game, has definitely, I think, evolved since I started, since I started making videos. Sorry about that. I think like the things I find the most interesting are what doesn't work about a particular track, or about the item system or things like that. Like, I like looking at things from a very critical lens, but I think that I've run the risk of being like overly negative a lot. And I've gotten comments like that, and I agree that it has been a problem in the past. Some things I think just kind of suck, right? Like when we talk about Piranha Plant Cove's arrows just suck. They don't do what they're supposed to, and it's very confusing. But like, there's a lot of things where I don't actually dislike how something is set up, but I'm still trying to just talk about the things that don't work particularly well, or things that I think could, would be nice to see improvements on, because I think that they're just kind of fun to talk about. It's fun to think about, like, when something works, it's a lot easier to, like, when everybody agrees that something is awesome, to like talk about why it's awesome. But like it tends to be a little bit more difficult to talk about the things that are not as awesome and like what makes them not awesome. When something is frustrating, like, why is it frustrating? Why does it make us feel that way? And those are the things that I try to focus on, and I think I'll continue to focus on that stuff in World. But I am going to make a very conscious effort to be, you know, to approach them from like a much more like constructive criticism lens, as opposed to like, like a constructive criticism lens, as opposed to like me bashing, because I don't want to do that. I love this game. I'm probably going to love World, and I want to share that love with everyone else. So, you know, that's kind of all I want to say about that. But I think from here on out, we're mostly going to be just focusing on the races themselves. I don't even know how I've been doing so far. I feel like I've been doing okay. I'm up, I think, a couple hundred or 100 or so VR from where I started. So hopefully we can carry that forward. Actually, I lied. We're probably going to do one more stream of consciousness thing, because I want to talk a little bit about something I said earlier, which is about like 8 Deluxe not being very well designed from a competitive standpoint. I'm actually, one of the things I'm most looking forward to in World is I do think World is actually going to be a lot better in a lot of ways. Obviously, we haven't played the game yet, so we got to see how it actually is, you know, how it actually works when things come out. But like, one of my biggest complaints about this game is that when you're, you know, the driving skill doesn't, it doesn't give you like enough of an edge over items, right? But with World, it seems like there's like a ton of things you can do. Like, there's a ton of ways that you can take different paths, like with all the rail grinding and wall rides, with all like the charge jump where you can jump over items and things like that. Like, it feels like if you're paying close attention and you're good at the game, it seems like the game is going to give us a lot more tools to handle bad luck than 8 Deluxe. So that is something I'm really, really looking forward to. And I think one of the other things that I am very excited about for World is that it seems like a lot of care went in. Like, there's a poster. There was like a what was it? It was an interview where with like the designers of Mario Kart World, and they were talking about the fact that they can I hit this car? Yes. They were talking about there's like more than 200 remixes of songs all through, like, not even just the Mario Kart franchise, but like the Mario Kart franchise, but like the Mario franchise itself. And so there's like from like Mario, like Super Mario 2, and like all these like old school games. And I guess the point is just that it really feels like the designers of Mario Kart World were trying to put together a love letter to the Mario franchise. And so I'm like really excited, because it seems like there's a ton of like love and attention and care that went into this game. And it's something that like it makes me excited for it, right? Like, I think it doesn't seem like it's just some kind of cash grab, like, oh, well, we have to make a Mario Kart game, it's sort of what we need to do. It's like, no, like, we, you know, the development of Mario Kart World started like right after 8 Deluxe released. And so, you know, all through that time, they were thinking about how to make like the next best thing and how to make an awesome Mario Kart game. So, you know, the point is just that, like, I think the more I learn about the game, the more excited I am to experience it and to see like what somebody who really loves the franchise can like put together, you know. And it's not like this game isn't bad, or it's not like this game isn't good or anything, but it's just I'm really excited for the next stage in Mario Kart's evolution, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. I believe this is the second GBA Mario Circuit race that we've done, so very par for the course. One thing I do hope they actually fix in the next game, I'm not sure that it's actually going to happen, but it's the way that like online works as far as like the lag. Because like, man, when I play, like I mentioned, I don't really get a whole lot of time to play until except until like after the kids are asleep. And so, you know, it's very it's very frustrating, because like when I play, it's like all Japanese players, and usually one of the Japanese players like is the host. And so, oh dude, that was perfect, oh my god. And so what ends up happening a lot of the time is like this dude who's right in front of me may or may not actually be right in front of me on his screen. So if I hit him with a red shell, or I hit him with like a green shell, it may or may not actually do anything. And so it's really annoying to not know what's actually happening on, you know, in the game that I'm playing. Because, you know, if I use a green shell to try and take somebody out, I'm taking a risk, right? I'm getting rid of some of my defense. So, dude, I wanted to throw that backwards. That sucks. But, like, yeah. So, I really hope that they do fix that. I don't know. It seems like they're probably going to do the same thing they did with this game, where it's, like, sort of peer-to-peer connection as opposed to... uh-oh. Yeah, like a peer-to-peer connection as opposed to a, what you call it, like a dedicated server being hosted on this stuff. So, we'll kind of see. I'm not going to worry about the NISC here, because too risky. Oh, dude, get wrecked. We're crushing it, actually. I feel like we're doing pretty good with Waluigi Wiggler. Of course, I am in a lobby that I think is relatively low VR. If everyone here was like 20K or higher, it would be a lot more of a nightmare. But yeah, we're doing pretty solid so far. All right, we're going to give it a couple more races, and then we will call it. We will call it for a video and for a game. You know, it's weird. It's weird. Like, it doesn't feel like there's a new game coming out. You know, like, I know there's a new game coming out in like a week from now, but it just... We've had 8 Deluxe for so long that it's just kind of surreal. But yeah, let's focus on some commentary in the races themselves for a little while. So I have been playing Waluigi Wiggler. If you haven't been able to tell, I've basically been trying to front run until I've bagged a couple of times, but bagging is never something that's worked out for me. There's supposed to be, I don't know what it is. I'm like the king of pulling single mushrooms in bottom spots. And I've looked at the probability tables. It's not supposed to happen any more than like 5 or 6% where I'm at when I bag. But I feel like I get single mushrooms all the time, and it's just crazy. Oh, dude, that sucks. I wasn't even trying to dodge there. I just assumed I was going to get a defensive item and not a mushroom. What is that guy doing? Oh, shit. Well, I'm dead. I have no idea what that blue shell was doing, but we'll just take it. See, this is where I'm gonna bag. But yeah, look at that. See, look, I got the clip. If I would have, you know, I should be saving. I actually do have the footage for this. So the 8th place red shell. That's exactly what I was talking about before. Oh, this is cool. But yeah, I'm not really sure. Like, it seems like there's gonna be a few different kind of options for competitive play. Like, I think Knockout Tour is going to be a really big one. I think like online races are always going to be a thing, but Knockout Tour seems like it's going to be very like that. It's going to be super competitive, I feel like. So I'm actually going to be not streaming, but there's an event that I'm participating in on Friday when the game releases with it's a YouTuber called I think it's like Lukalele is how you would say it. And this guy is hosting like a 24 person like set of races, which is going to be really cool. So we're going to be doing just like, it's just going to be normal like versus races, not knockout tour. So really like I'm going to upload my footage to YouTube, but I'll also put a post out on I guess on my own YouTube channel and on Twitter and all that stuff. So whenever you guys see that, go check it out. All right, let's see if we can get up to 25,600 before we call it. So, SNES Rainbow Road. Look at this. We are destroying the Yoshi hive mind right now. That is our plan. I actually, one thing I'm kind of excited, or one thing I'm curious about, I should say, is like I wonder what the meta is going to look like. Like, so we already know a little bit about how the stats look, but we don't know. Like, I wonder if there's going to be like different metas for Knockout Tour and for online races, because Knockout Tour does have those kind of long straightaways that I talked about in my kind of critique of the Nintendo Treehouse gameplay footage. So it will be interesting to see kind of how those things, like, you know, whether there's a different meta at all, what the meta looks like. Are we going to use like a really heavy character for Knockout Tour because of the straightaways? And are we going to use a different character for versus races? Is there going to be some weird kind of a hidden mechanic, like, you know how in Mario Kart Wii you have the fact that, like, even if a build isn't necessarily the best stat wise, the inside drifting bikes have wheelies that they can do, and that sort of makes them, you know, the meta, even if they're not necessarily like the fastest at like driving otherwise, you know. So there's going to be a lot of exploration. I think that's going to be the thing I'm most looking forward to, as far as like just sort of from a casual viewer perspective, is what people put together as far as like, you know, the strategies and like what, because there's going to be, it's going to be, again, the time trial stuff is going to be super competitive. There's going to be a lot of like hoarding going on, like hoarding strats and all this stuff. But yeah, so, you know, when we, what you call it? No, let me go. Okay, we barely made it, dude. That would have been really sad. But there's going to be like a ton of discoveries that happen over the course of that first month, which is again why I don't want to make basic training right away, because it's going to take some time. Oh, and not 25,600. I meant 25,500. But we'll do one more race. We'll do one more. All right, what a way to finish a video, Mushroom Gorge. We all know my thoughts on this track. Actually, I do think the track, like, it's overall it's fairly okay to drive. I do think the gap jump is actually really fun to pull off. I just think it's, you know, one of those things where I wish the geometry of the mushrooms in those caves was a little bit better designed. But yeah, so this is going to be the last race, and then we're going to call it for the video, call it for the game, call it for life until Mario Kart World comes out on June 5th. Like I said, I will be uploading all of my content, like all of my, like basically doing like Let's Play style videos, right? And I'm going to be doing that. There we go. The bad mushrooms couldn't get my trick. Anyway, so we're going to be uploading everything that we do to YouTube for the most part. So, you know, if you are interested in that, definitely would love to have you check that out. You know, it'll be a little bit more interesting than what's going on right now. Like I said, this game's sort of been out for a million years, and I'm just trying to mostly see, like, test the waters as far as like making sure that my hardware works, my software. So, you know, got a little bit of stream of consciousness, a little bit of a little bit of commentated races, a little bit of a game review. Oh my god, I can't get any tricks off anything. See, what was I talking about? Getting booed on Mushroom Gorge. Like, this is, it's funny how this stuff is working out. Two situations that I specifically highlighted in like things that you might want to get footage of. Turns out I got both those in one video. Hilarious. Oh, dude, this really sucks though. Mushrooms, oh my god. I cannot believe that actually worked. That is like the biggest plot armor I've ever had in this game. And that's why you don't get frustrated at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope that you found something entertaining or useful about this video. I will see you guys all in Mario Kart World, and let me know down in the comments if there's anything in particular that you would like me to make. See you guys all then.